Good morning, Ruchi.
Good morning, Lemmy. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Saturday.
Yes, it's the first Saturday. It's the first Cyber Safety Saturday of April.
That's right. And I'm so looking forward to spring. Some sunshine. We actually
Yeah,
had snow in April.
yes, a snowy April, and I am sitting right next to although it's a clear day today, a clear Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it. No work is good day.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So today we are going to do our chat about giving parents some tips for
Uh-huh.
their kids on cyber safety. And you shared with me an interesting article that you came across this week.
Yes, I did. So, parents, today we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about cyberbullying. That is something that I'm sure is on everybody's mind. It's a topic that is impacting all of us, and I'll share some of the statistics that are out there. You know, if you Google, they're out there. They're about 35% of our early teenagers are hit by some form or fashion of cyberbullying, and I think that's a big number. And
Yes.
and and this is the reported number. So there could be numbers that go unreported. So today we're going to talk about. We'll start our Saturday with cyberbullying, talking about cyberbullying and how we can prep our kids for it.
Yes,
So,
and I think it's a good time too. I have to say, um, just within the past month, I've had conversations with parents
mhm.
who are concerned and actually gave examples of their kid being bullied in school. One parent, through months of conversations with the principal and the parents of the kid who was the actual bully, um, was able to get to some type of resolution. However, there was another parent who actually did not have resolution and had to switch schools, meaning,
Ooh.
yes, had to find another school for her child. And it's such a big issue. Nobody wants a situation where the kid is being bullied in person or online
Yeah.
through social media or what have you. But it's a big impact for parents, for kids in general.
Yeah. So, well, let's start by talking about what is cyberbullying. So,
Hmm.
you know, it can take many forms. You know, it can anything that occurs online through messages, emails, social media posts, and it's such a thing that parents, as a parent, we need to keep our eyes open
Right.
around the activity that our child has online. And it can range from anything like writing mean things um, online to, you know, mean things or derogatory remarks, or sharing embarrassing photos or posts or videos to humiliate the other person. And you know, I shared that statistic, and we keep hearing about some horrific outcomes. There was um, a 12-year girl who actually committed suicide. So I would prefer change
Wow.
schools over that. But at the same time, I think the thing is that we need to help our kids understand what is cyberbullying, because a lot of times they feel that they understand bullying. I think we have done a good job, even at our schools. This whole social media is this new thing that they think that they're doing it just for fun. They think it's fun. You
Mhm.
know, it's a game that they have. They're just bothering someone. So,
Right.
at,
Right.
as a parent, I think we need to help our kids understand
Mhm.
what
And
cyberbullying.
many schools have policies around
Mm-hmm.
bullying that includes cyber bullying as well. They've extended it, expanded for a couple years now, some schools have done that. They tried to do the due diligence. I know one school within the city of Chicago actually held a cyber safety event where they brought in law enforcement.
Wow.
Yeah, law enforcement to sort of talk about awareness and safety tips,
Hmm.
because some of these situations will escalate and require, police attention, law enforcement attention. So they're probably getting a flood of, depending on where they're at, situations that they need to deal with, where they've assigned a person to be sort of the cyber safety
Right.
officer within that police district rather. But now they're doing outreach and they're coming in and connecting to be proactive, to give people advice on safety tips,
Ex-
on critical
Exactly.
thinking tips, etc.
Hmm. And as parents, it's our duty to help our kids understand that there are facilities or there are groups out there who can help you, and they
Right.
can reach out to them. Like they shouldn't in no way, form or fashion hesitate. And they should come out and report. And so a few things that while I was doing some research on this and while I was thinking about it for Avni, um,
Okay.
a few things that I would tell Avni is that um, bullies typically, such mean behavior is typically to get some sort of a reaction. And therefore, if we can ignore it, and by ignoring it, I'm not saying don't take any action, like try to ignore like simpler things. Like if somebody just, for example, if somebody would call me fat,
Hmm. They wouldn't do
sorry,
that, but let's say they did.
but let's say
Let's say they
let's
did.
say they did, and I would I would just move on. But at the same time, if somebody said something that was a little like, let them understand the variations or the different levels of risks involved and the different kind of meanness. And we all know kids are mean, and not everything is said
Mhm.
with the intent. So,
Yeah, but I think you're an adult, so if someone called you fat, for example,
mhm,
you're wise enough to kind of rub
yeah,
that off and keep on moving. But I think for kids, they're so, impressionable and vulnerable with the words that they hear and the body images as well. And it's good advice when parents talk to their kids about that in terms
mhm,
of don't sweat the small stuff
yeah,
and helping them to define. And this is where critical thinking comes in, helping them to define,
yes,
what they should pay attention to and what they should ignore. Because there's a lot of peer pressure out there,
yeah.
a lot of, situations where there are multiple bullies. It's not
And
just one.
and
Yeah.
I completely agree. And
Mhm.
um, which is why you said a perfect point. Actually, it was my next point was always
Mhm.
stay engaged. Like talk to your child about how was the day, what did you
Right.
do, what are you doing, who are your friends. Like keep an eye. And I know that there are softwares out there, there are tools. If we dig deeper, if there's a reason to dig deeper, there are softwares out there that can scan messages, that can scan a person's device to see text messages and send you an alert saying that, here's a negative message or something like that, if you need to get to that level.
Right.
But typically, if we tell kids, and there's this open channel of communication between the child and the parent and the teachers,
Mhm.
then I think most things can be resolved. And as a parent, always keep an eye on your child's behavior patterns. If your child suddenly is kind of becoming sad, is talking about things like, I don't want to go to a certain class, because uh, our kids are sensitive. They're very, very sensitive, and it's part of
Yeah,
learning,
that's
part of
right.
growing up, that makes us a little less sensitive to the small stuff. Um,
Exactly. It's getting towards the end of the school year, and I think whatever time of year, it's always important to um, pay attention
yeah,
um, to where your kid's at. So the cyberbullying doesn't necessarily have to take place in the schools.
Yeah.
So parents should be aware now that summer is approaching, and there's going to be summer camp activities, field trips, family travel, just to be on alert, and don't
Yeah.
think that just because your child is not in a school setting, this is so important, that you shouldn't worry about cyber bullying issues, right? Don't you
Mhm.
agree?
I would completely agree. I mean, this is our life. We are always connected. We are always connected, and therefore we also need to keep our eyes always open, keep monitoring who they're talking to, what the and you, by monitoring, I'm not saying start spying on them, but at the same time, keep the
Yeah,
dialogue open. Keep the dialogue open. Keep
right. Keep the dialogue open.
the other
That's right.
aspect.
That's right.
The
Hmm.
other aspect that I wanted to talk about was the other side of cyberbullying. The cyberbully, because your child could be a
Okay.
cyberbully. He could be the perpetrator and not the victim, and so teach your child, and I'm sure everybody does that. Teach your child not to be mean. We all do that. Don't say this, don't say that. But problem arises when they think the virtual world is, it's for fun. Facebook is for fun, or things like that. They just take it as a game. They don't.
Right.
So
Right. As a
essentially,
joke. Yeah.
yeah, it's a joke. So we need to teach them that don't say anything in the virtual world that you wouldn't say in the real world. If it's mean, it's mean, period. And
Right. That's excellent advice. Let's repeat that one because I think that's a good piece of advice. Probably the best piece of advice that today that parents can kind of take away with in their busy Saturday schedule. And so, why don't you go ahead and repeat that? You said, "Don't say anything in the cyber world."
yeah, don't say anything in the cyber world that you wouldn't say in the real world face to face. If it's mean, it's mean. That's it. Like, it is mean. Don't do it. And always try to put yourself in the other person's shoe. How would you feel if somebody said something or acted a certain way to you? And I know there could be kids,
Hmm. Hmm.
they may just say, I feel nice, but help them empathize, because I think empathy is very
Help them. Yes.
important. Um, and
Hmm.
also, if you notice that your child is bullying someone, then do not, as a parent, I think it's a normal courtesy, and I don't think we should shy away from reaching out to the child's parents who is being bullied. Like,
Right. Right.
I would, as another mother, as a mother, I would really, really, really appreciate if a parent would come to me and say, "Hey, Avni is bullying someone," because then I can. It's in the best interest of both our kids, and I'd really appreciate if I was made aware of it so that I can start acting on it before it gets a little late.
Right, right before it escalates. And
Mhm.
so these are great tips. And the other last point before we encourage folks to subscribe. So please, we
Yes.
always forget this part. Subscribe to this video. Let us know what other suggestions, comments,
Mhm.
feedback that you have for us. We're, out there in the midst of the community and at different events that we're going to share with you in the upcoming weeks. One of our recent events on cybersecurity, cyber safety topics. But we want to hear directly from parents. We want to hear what your concerns are, your issues are. So feel free to share that with us and subscribe. Let us know you like the conversations and how can we better provide you with more information. And the last piece of that is also you're never too young to start. I think we need to get a proactive start with our preschoolers on, you know, helping them to think about the technology that they're being exposed to, whether they're using it on a daily basis or not. They need that kind of exposure. You need to talk about critical thinking, questions, the who, the what, where, why, and having them to sort of think about why they're doing something and compare, the differences. So if we're talking about cyberbullying, you had mentioned earlier, we don't want kids to talk to strangers.
Oh,
And so giving kids an understanding of what a quote unquote stranger might appear to be, what are the signs of a stranger online, just like we would do offline, having that comparison is how you build their critical thinking skills.
yes.
So that's an important piece that we want to definitely convey
And this
today.
cyber, yep. And the cyber harassment can happen from, like you said, strangers as well, like
Mhm.
fake profiles. There's a lot of
Right.
conversation going around those these days.
Mhm. Okay. Well, it's so great to see you this Saturday. We're not next to each other, but we found a way to still keep it going through technology.
Okay,
So
it's the world.
definitely a plus. Okay, Ruchi, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you
Thank
next
you.
week.
Thanks. Click like and subscribe.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.